CatsCast, Episode 3 for June 2022. What Cats and Dragons Do by Katie Briskey. Hello and welcome to CatsCast. We're a monthly feline fiction podcast, and I'm your editor and host, Laura Pearlman. This month, I'm happy to bring you What Cats and Dragons Do by Katie Briskey. This story is a CatsCast original, which means it's never been published in any form anywhere before. It's actually our first ever original story, which makes it the original CatsCast original. Our author this week is Katie Briskey. Katie Briskey is a queer Canadian author and podcaster. Her short fiction has appeared in many places, including The Deadlands, Lightspeed, and Nightmare. She's won the Parsec Award and has been a finalist for the Sunburst, Aurora, and Yuji Awards. Katie also co-chairs Ephemera, a monthly reading series. Find it on YouTube. When she's not writing, Katie frolics through Toronto enjoying choral music and craft beer. Visit her at www.katiebrisky.com. I actually hadn't heard of Ephemera until now, but it looks really cool if, you like listening to people read stories. New episodes are live on YouTube on the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern, and of course previous episodes are also on their YouTube channel. There's a link in our show notes. Our narrator this week is Rish Outfield. Rish Outfield is an audiobook narrator, writer, and podcaster who is thrilled to finally be on the CatsCast, as he's been a fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical since he was a fetus. His favorite character, and yours as well, is obviously Rum Tum Tugger. Now knock over some breakables and listen closely, because there's something we need to tell you.
What Cats and Dragons Do by Katie Briskey, narrated by Rish Outfield. Far away in the hill country, there lived a small black cat. Though people enough lived in a nearby town, he belonged only to himself. Sometimes he climbed the town's old stone walls and prowled its old stone lanes, for he was very fond of sunny window ledges and fresh milk. If he was lonely, he didn't think much of it. A cat feeds well enough on its own company. On this particular day, the cat was curled fast asleep on the hillside. Pale trees whispered under a bleached summer sky. Long grass drooped in the heat. Morning light fell like shards of white glass. Sudden rumbling shook the morning. Like a muddy river, a dragon surged from the hilltop. Wingless, sinuous, it scuttled on 4 stumped legs and nearly tripped over the cat in its haste. Righting itself, the dragon gave a slow, lipless smile. Its jaws opened wide, jagged teeth gripping. "Where," said the cat, "is my apology?" The dragon's mouth snapped shut. "Apology? You have disturbed my nap." "I'm sorry." With fastidious calm, the cat licked his paw. "Apology accepted. Now move along." "Oh, no," said the dragon. "I'm afraid I can't." "Why not?" "I'm afraid that I mean to eat you." The cat lowered his paw. "Quite impossible." "I'm very hungry." "I'm sure," said the cat, thinking quickly. "But who ever heard of a dragon eating another dragon?" The dragon tried to speak, faltered, and then swallowed hard. "You're a dragon, too?" "Of course." The dragon looked him up and down. "You're awfully small." "Well, dragons come in all sizes." "But you have no scales." "Well, some dragons have fur." "Can you breathe fire?" "When I feel like it," the cat said. and not a moment before. You really don't know much about dragons, do you?" Sudden tears glistened in the dragon's eyes.
"I thought I was the last one."
"Ah, well," the cat coughed. "If you'll excuse me, I have many dragonish matters to which I must attend." With a jaunty nod, he turned away, but the dragon grabbed his tail.
"Well, please, teach me about dragons. 300 years I've lived on this hill, and you're the first dragon I ever met."
"What if I say no?"
"Then I'll gobble you straight up."
The cat yanked his tail free. "Come, come, our lessons await." As the sun climbed higher, the cat led the dragon to a field bordering the old town. A plan stretched in the back of the cat's mind, but for now he trotted and chatted, his tail amiably hooked, and the dragon hanging onto his every word. The wheat rippled lion gold. Over its whispering expanse, the town stood quiet. No chimney smoke threaded the sky. The blacksmith's forge lay silent. Even so, the dragon trembled.
"I never get this close. To the humans, I mean."
"They're not so bad. They have milk," the dragon whimpered. "But never mind that. First, we shall learn to hunt." The cat crouched, belly flat to the earth. The dragon dropped too, but the cat shook his head. "Lift your rump. We spring from the hind quarters." The dragon pushed its coils upwards. A shadow flickered through the grass. Mouse. Excitement pressed to the cat's throat, sharp and clean as a killing bite. "Before you pounce, you have to wiggle." Slowly the cat shook his rear from side to side. The dragon wiggled too, thick tail leveling the grass. The mouse froze. Its ears twitched. "Now!" hissed the cat. The dragon sprang forward, but the cat dove sideways. As the dragon bounded after the mouse, the cat sprinted towards the trees. Before he could reach them, the dragon's heavy footfalls sent him flying. Naturally, the cat landed on his feet, claws extended and ready to rake the dragon's muzzle. The dragon panted and grinned, the mouse's tail poking between its teeth.
"Like this?"
the dragon asked. "Oh, yes, quite." The dragon spat the mouse out, its scaly brow furrowed.
"Why did you run?"
"One never interferes with another dragon's hunt."
"Oh."
The dragon prodded the mouse, sniffed it, and then edged backwards, nostrils flaring.
"Are you sure this is what dragons do?"
"My dear friend, I have been a dragon for nearly 500 years. I've bowed before the great dragon queens of the north and voted twice in the Dragon's Assembly. I think I know what dragons do."
"The great dragon queens?"
"You'll meet them one day." Once again, words stuck in the dragon's throat. Horned head bobbing, it hemmed, hawed, and then blurted,
"Can I show you my cave?"
With every step up the hillside, the cat's stomach clenched tighter. A cave. A nasty thing, surely. Damp and cramped, the dragon's maw blocking the only exit.
"Do you have a name?"
the dragon asked suddenly. "It's secret."
"Secret?"
the dragon repeated.
"Is that a dragon name?"
"Well, no, I meant—"
"What's my dragon name?"
The cat stopped short. "Don't you have one?" The dragon hung its head. "I see," said the cat.
"Do you have to do something special?" the dragon asked, "to get a dragon name?"
"Oh, certainly. When in doubt, cats wash." Combing his whiskers, the cat thought. You must prove your heart noble and true.
How?
Figuring that out for yourself is part of the journey. The dragon hesitated, its muscled shoulders hunched. Blinking hard, it nodded. Inside the cat, something unbent, just a little. But, he said, rubbing against the dragon's leg, all dragons get a temporary name.
What's mine?
Yours is... Settling on his haunches, the cat considered the creature before him. Cats never rush about naming anything, especially not themselves. The dragon puffed itself up, swaying so the sun caught its scales. Under the dust, they gleamed like mud along the creek banks. Catfish bristles quivered with excitement. Slowly, the name drifted upwards. The cat smiled. Your name is Tug. Tug's cave tunneled into the hill, opening to a vast, dry cavern. Down under the mountain, the air smelled old. A crack high on the rock above admitted tremulous sunlight. Gilded with dust motes, sunbeams struck. Wonders. Sparkles and shimmers, winking and twinkling, coins, gems, breakables, rounded baubles begging for batting, thick folded furs cried out to be clawed. The cat froze. On a high ledge there sat a row of jewel-encrusted eggs, rubies beaded like blood on thin porcelain shells. Oh, oh. The cat leaped to the ledge and knocked the first egg down. It struck the ground and rolled under a polished throne. A frisson went down the cat's spine. Oh. The next egg. Bounce. The next. Tug wrung his claws.
Is this what dragons do?
Oh, yes. A suit of armor went flying. Crash! Tug pawed at a crystal chandelier until it fell. Smash! Together they chased after brass rings and honed their claws on carved couches until the cat collapsed in a heap.
Why did you stop?
Tug asked. Tired. The cat wrapped his tail over his nose and shut his eyes. Tug nudged his flank.
I'm glad you're here,
the dragon whispered, but the cat was already asleep. The cat woke. Beside him, Tug snored, his pebbled belly heaving and talons twitching. A string of drool dribbled down his scaly chin. On silent paws, the cat wove around heaped jewels and coins. Through the tunnel he crawled until a fresh breeze stroked his whiskers and he broke into lemony afternoon light. Free. He skittered sideways with glee. He'd stared into the dragon's gullet, napped in its lair, and lived. Tail jauntily raised, he padded downhill. Over the ridge, the path widened into a proper road, rutted with wagon tracks. A little girl plucked flowers along the verge, white bonnet shading her eyes. Steeped in self-satisfaction, the cat paused to roll at her feet. The girl dropped her basket with a squeal. Kneeling in the dust, she rubbed his ears, his chin. Perfect child, wonderful child. The cat flipped forwards and back, lost in delight. But then the girl screamed. With a hiss, the cat lashed out. But the girl was already running towards town, her bonnet falling down her back and flowers abandoned by the roadside. Stiff-legged, the cat swung around. Tug stood motionless up the road. "Oh!" the cat called, heart sinking. "I thought you were sleeping." The dragon trudged to his side.
Why did you leave?
"To take care of business," the cat said. "Dragons bury their waste, but never in their dens." Screams faded to silence. Tug stared at the dirt.
Why did she run? She didn't run from you. Well, am I such a bad dragon?
No. Hurriedly, the cat twined through Tug's legs.
Not at all. Then why was she frightened?
The cat had no answer. Lowering himself to the ground, Tug buried his snout in his claws. His eyes squeezed shut, tears trickled under warty lids. The cat nuzzled him, but Tug only turned aside. At last, the cat climbed Tug's hind leg and stretched along his thick neck. Kneading, he leaned forward and whispered, "Sometimes the world hurts, and we don't know why. But it isn't your fault. You're a very good dragon." They stayed there for a long time, watching the sky flame orange as the sun sank behind the town walls. When the first stars bloomed, Tug asked,
"Do you think if I tried harder, she'd be my friend?"
"Maybe," the cat said. "Maybe." The next day broke blistering. As the sun glared in the burning blue sky, the cat licked himself anxiously. He'd woken to find Tug vanished, crushed grass marking a path towards town. The cat nipped a burr from his belly. This was his chance to escape, hide himself in a passing cart, and find a town without dragons. A few wagons trundled by. The cat chewed his paws, getting between the toes. He'd catch the next one. Something long and large staggered through clouds of dust. "Tug!" Wincing, the dragon limped uphill. Blood streaked his flanks, and he favored his right foreleg. As he drew nearer, the cat gasped. A broken arrow shaft stuck from an ugly red-black gash. Shuddering, the dragon ripped the head free. "What happened?" wailed the cat.
"I tried really hard,"
the dragon whispered. When in doubt, cats wash. The cat licked Tug's face, tears salty on his tongue. They didn't speak much that day. But all through the night, Tug's smothered sobs trickled through the cave, and a sour, uncomfortable feeling churned in the cat's belly. Sweaty, sticky morning enfolded the hills, a day so sun-swollen it must burst. Side by side, cat and dragon basked upon the hilltop. Or rather, the cat basked. Tug brooded, licking his wounded shoulder. "Shall we hunt?" the cat asked.
"No."
The sun climbed and the cat's belly rumbled. He groomed himself, stretched, and announced, "Well, I shall hunt." Dreams of fresh milk lingered yet in the cat's head, and so he took the winding path to the old town. Beyond the high walls, townspeople clustered on street corners, their voices hushed. Every window stood bolted, the lace curtains drawn. The cat paused on a wall top. There were no children in the gardens. A cold slick of fear ran down the cat's throat. The inn usually left a bowl waiting for him, but that day the back step stood empty. Hiding under a cart, the cat waited until the scullery maid came out with wastewater. Before the door shut again, he slipped through. A torrent of smells enveloped him. Ash and bread and soap and pork and dog and onion and sweat and rat. Making himself small, the cat slunk down a shadowed corridor. "Twice now!" someone roared in the tap room. "The beast's come twice now!" "Hunting the children!" Metal scraped on metal.
"We'll put an end to it right enough!"
The cat couldn't breathe. He had to scratch. He had to hide. As the voices grew louder, he cowered until the front door opened and he bolted. Paw sore, gasping, he scaled the town wall, and he didn't stop running until he found Tug on the hilltop. "We have to leave." He slammed into the dragon's side. "Now!" Salty tracks streaked Tug's face from eyes to bristles.
"They give you milk," he said slowly. "They rub your belly." "Yes, but what's wrong with me?"
"You're a dragon!" the cat burst out. Frowning, Tug uncrossed his forelegs.
"So are you."
"No." His head hurt. "I'm a cat."
"What?"
Tug whispered. "I'm a cat, not a dragon." Trembling started at the tip of Tug's tail, and it swept along his snaking body to the ends of his bristles.
"Tell me, is that what cats do? They lie?"
"Tug!" The dragon whirled, roaring so loudly that the cat sprang backwards. Ground shuddering under his massive paws, Tug stomped closer. Closer. His hot breath swept over the cat, curved fangs inches from his furry throat. But then he snorted.
"Go away, cat."
Coiling himself tight, Tug hunched atop the hill like a gargoyle. The silence returned, sharp as teeth. When the cat could stand it no longer, he fled. In the long grass, afternoon heat gathered itself against the dusk. Even so, the cat felt chilled through and through. He threw back his head and yowled. A wood pigeon rushed from the undergrowth. The cat ignored it. He yowled again, straining his ears for an answer. Nothing came. But halfway down the hill, he rounded on a dead tree. Oh, yes. Rip it and tear it. Anger felt much better than sadness. Lanterns flickered like fireflies along the town wall. To the west, sunset spilled over the hills like blood. The cat lashed his tail. Without the dragon clinging, he could attend to his needs. Stolen cream, a hayloft nest, a wash. In that order. The lights in the town dispersed, moving up the road like swept embers. Scaling the dead tree, the cat held his breath. Heavy boots thumped, horses' hooves thudded, angry shouts carried on the wind, and piercing the din, the baying of dogs. The cat trembled. Firelight glimmered along scythes and axes and kitchen knives. One human kept her distance from the rest, a bow steady in her grasp and quiver slung over her shoulder. "Run away," the cat told himself. "Run now." But that isn't what dragons do. The cat dropped from the tree. Belly to the earth, he outpaced the dogs, the horses, and humans. He was a shadow in the waving grass, silent as the falling darkness. Pausing on an outcropping of rock, he squinted through the firelight and counted the dogs. A scar-muzzled hound pranced in front, a thick chain around its neck. No humans came nearer. Certainly none tried to pat it. The cat waited. When the crowd stampeded beneath him, the cat flung himself upon the lead dog with a battle cry that cracked the twilight. The dog bucked and howled, bellowing in kind. Clinging tight, the cat brought his hind legs about to rip at its neck and chest. All the while he screamed. With a thunderous bark, the dog thrashed again and flung the cat to the dirt. Breath fled the cat's lungs. He tried to drag himself away, but his legs wouldn't gather, and the dog bore down, its slavering jaws open wide. A terrible roar made everything go still. Tug seethed towards them, tearing grass as he came. One claw scooped under the cat's belly, gently, and then Tug wriggled up and over the ledge. An arrow whizzed past the cat's ear. Somewhere below, the bow twanged again. This time Tug's tail flicked out, and the arrow clattered to earth in 2 snapped pieces. "Tug!" the cat wheezed. "What are you doing?" Tug ducked his head and lifted something from the ground. Something small and brown, a furred body with naked tail. "The dragon's got A mouse, the bowwoman cried. Grinning, Tug tossed it high, caught it, and swallowed it down. The human stopped. Cradling the cat in his forelegs, Tug bent his head low. His slimed tongue ran over the cat's fur. Hating this, the cat squirmed, but Tug whispered, "Trust me." Stretched out, comfortable, he licked the cat's ears, his forehead, his tail. "Is the dragon eating that cat?" someone asked. "No," another human answered. "He's bathing it." Despite himself, the cat's eyes fluttered closed. When Tug had finished his grooming, he nosed the cat to one side and tucked his paws under, tail wrapped around like a ribbon girdling a loaf. With a loud yawn, Tug curled his head around and purred. "Why," the bowwoman said, "it's only a great cat after all." Chuckles spread through the crowd. Weapons lowered, the dogs quietened. Snuggled against Tug's warm flank, the cat could scarcely keep his eyes open. "A giant mouser! Who would have thought?" They laughed a little more, and then, slowly, the humans turned and walked down the hill. For a time, the cat slept. When he awoke, stars spangled the sky, and Tug still nestled beside him. "You came back," the dragon said. "So did you," said the cat. "That's what dragons do." Tug nuzzled him. "Were you going to fight all those dogs by yourself?" The cat nodded. "And all those humans?" Again. "But you're only a cat." "And you're my friend." Shaking out his fur, the cat climbed onto Tug's head and resettled himself between his horns. "I'm sorry I lied." Tug was quiet. "You didn't mean to be cruel." "No." "So what happens now?" The cat's claws flexed. "Do you remember what I told you about dragon names?" Tug twisted around to look the cat in the face. "Yes." Whiskers brushing scales, the cat leaned forward and whispered a name in the dragon's ear. The dragon's eyes widened, and another purr rumbled from his chest. With the cat upon his back, he turned his back upon the town and scaled the heights for home. The end.
And we're back. I'm a sucker for interspecies friendships. KT would like you to know that the cat in the story is essentially just her cat, Guinness, albeit with much less yelling. You can find Guinness on Twitter at GuinnessIsACat and as the CatsCast cover model. This story has so much heart. It seems like a story about a cat tricking a dragon and a dragon tricking some villagers, but in the end, did anyone really deceive anyone here? The cat, while remaining firmly a cat, did adopt a few dragon-like values, and the dragon just immediately took to every cat thing the cat introduced him to. Did the dragon trick the villagers in the end, or did he just show them his true self? Today's cover art is a picture of Callie by Kimberley Daly, sent in by her husband Jeremiah. Jeremiah tells us that after a long day of chasing phantoms and being vexed by all the birds outside she will never get to, Callie cannot possibly decide whether she should lie in or out of her bed. And the picture he sent us is proof that that's true. Callie's Instagram account has lots of great pictures. It's at calliedaily.cat, and there's a link in our show notes. Before we get to the credits, I have a question for you. How are we doing? We have a few episodes out now, and we'd love to hear what you think about them. Hit us up on Twitter, we're at CatsCastPod there, on the EA Discord, or send mail to catscast@escapeartist.net. Today's episode is brought to you by audio producers Wilson Fowlie and Dave Robison. associate editors Kitty Sarkozy and Tarver Nova, and me, editor Laura Pearlman. Our opening and closing music is Easy Lemon by Kevin MacLeod. CatsCast is a production of Escape Artists Incorporated and is brought to you with a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Don't change it, don't sell it, please do share it. CatsCast relies on listener donations, so thank you so much if you've already donated. You can support us and all the other EA podcasts by donating via patreon.com/EA podcasts or through the website escapeartist.net. You can also help us out by leaving a review or rating at Apple Podcasts or wherever you normally leave those things. CatsCast is distributed monthly on the Escape Artists Premium Content feed. A separate public CatsCast feed gets a subset of those episodes. More details can be found in the show notes or at escapeartist.net/CatsCast. We'll be back next month with Episode 4 on the Escape Artists Premium Content feed, and in 2 months with Episode 5 on both feeds. In the meantime, you can find more narrative goodness on our weekly sister podcasts, Escape Pod for Science Fiction, Podcastle for Fantasy, Pseudopod for Horror, and Cast of Wonders for YA. Congratulations, by the way, to Escape Pod's Premium Muhammad, who won this year's Nebula Award for her novella, And What Can We Offer You Tonight? Congratulations also to Pseudopod, which has been nominated for the Ignite Award for Best Fiction Podcast, to Escape Pod, which has been nominated for both the Hugo Award for Best Semi-Prozine and the Ignite Award for Best Fiction Podcast, and to Podcastle, which has also been nominated for both the Hugo Award for Best Semi-Prozine and the Ignite Award for Best Fiction Podcast. Thanks for listening, have a great month, and until next time, keep in touch.